You know that specific pit in your stomach you get when you're managing a project?
Mm.
I'm talking about that feeling when you have a crew standing around, the clock is ticking, you're burning cash by the minute.
And you need that one thing to keep going.
Exactly. And you realize you're stuck. You're making a choice where you lose no matter what you pick.
It's the classic bind. The industry, they call it the rental
The
paradox.
rental paradox,
Yeah,
yes. Because traditionally you have two options, and let's be honest, they both kind of suck.
they really do.
Option A is the local mom and pop shop. You know the place.
Oh, yeah, down the road.
Down the road, owner knows your name, maybe asks about your kids. The service is incredible because he actually cares.
He wants you to succeed. But there's a catch.
There is a massive catch. His lot is the size of a postage stamp. He has, what, maybe 3 boom lifts total?
If you're lucky.
So if you need a specific 60-foot articulating lift and he's rented as one unit out,
Huh.
you're just out of luck. He can't help you.
Right. It's that high care, low capability trap. He wants to help, but he physically can't.
So you sigh, you hang up, and you call option B.
The massive national chain.
We won't name names, but we all know who they are. They have acres of equipment. Capability is through the roof.
But the care just drops to zero.
Oh, lower than 0. You are just a number on a spreadsheet. Your machine breaks down at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Good luck.
You're talking to a robot for 20 minutes.
Well, your crew sits idle. And the billing. Don't even get me started.
It's a nightmare. That is the frustration we see in the source material over and over again. The market forces you to choose.
Do you want to be treated like a human being? Or do you want the guarantee that the equipment is actually there?
It feels like you can have both.
Well, today we are unpacking a case study that claims this is a false choice. We're looking at a company called Empower Rental Group, or ERG.
Right.
And the reason this is on our radar right now is a press release that dropped today, January 28, 2026. It's focused on their operations in Decatur and Huntsville, Alabama.
But the Alabama news is really just the launching point.
It's the tip of the iceberg.
It really is. That press release is a window into a much larger strategy. It's not about renting trucks in Alabama. It's about how they've engineered a business model to scale like a giant while acting like a neighbor.
And that is our mission for this deep dive. We're going to tear this model apart to figure out how they claim to offer the best of both worlds.
How do you get big without getting bad? Because usually those two things go hand in hand.
It's the holy grail of scaling a service business.
And to understand it, we have to look at their architecture first.
Okay, let's start with the origin story. Because when I saw the timeline in the notes, I did a double take. This isn't some 100-year-old company.
No, and that's the shocker. They launched in 2021.
2021.
And get this, they started with just 3 locations.
3. And today, what, 5 years later?
Over 35 locations, spread all across the Southeast. Alabama, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee. They're moving incredibly fast.
Okay, but I have to play devil's advocate here.
Please do.
Rapid growth in a service industry is usually a massive red flag. When you scale from 3 to 35 locations in 5 years, the wheels fall off. Systems break. Culture gets diluted.
Service is the first casualty.
Exactly. So how are they doing this without imploding?
That is the right question. And the answer is in what we're calling a hybrid model. The core innovation here is that they decoupled physical inventory from customer access.
Decoupled inventory from access. Okay, that sounds a little business school jargony to me. What does that actually look like for a guy trying to rent a bulldozer?
Think about the traditional model. If you walk into a rental yard in, say, Birmingham, what you see, then you get.
Right.
That is the inventory. If the dozer isn't there, the manager says, sorry, try next week. The inventory is trapped. It's siloed at that one branch.
Right, because moving heavy machinery is expensive. You don't just ship a bulldozer like an Amazon package.
Exactly. But ERG flips that. They use a system called networked inventory. Think of it like cloud computing versus having a server in your closet. Their fleet isn't individual pools of equipment. It's a single, massive, fluid fleet that just happens to be parked in different places.
So if I'm a customer at the Decatur branch and I need a weird piece of gear that's not on the lot,
They don't just say no.
they get it from somewhere else.
Correct. They source it from the network. They might pull it from a branch in Tennessee or Georgia.
Wait, hang on. I have to challenge the economics of that. Moving a 10,000-pound boom lift from Georgia to Alabama isn't free. Doesn't that just kill their margins?
You'd think so, but this is where the bureaucracy of the national chains fails. A big chain could move equipment, but it requires like 3 layers of approval and a week of paperwork.
Right.
ERG combines this network view with local autonomy. They just move it.
So they eat the logistics headache to save the customer the wait.
Essentially, yes. And this creates what's called a competitive moat. The small guy can't match the inventory, and the big guy can't match the speed. ERG sits right in that sweet spot.
Which brings us to the promise I saw in their materials. They aren't talking about getting you gear in a few days.
No. The promise is service within hours. Hours, not days.
In the heavy equipment world, that is an aggressive claim.
It's almost startling, but let's be real. You can have the best logistics in the world, but if the person answering the phone hates their job, none of it matters.
The human element.
Culture. It's the engine that drives the whole machine.
I always get a little skeptical when we talk about corporate values because, 90% of the time, they're just words on a poster in the break room.
Synergy, excellence, integrity.
Yeah, it's just wallpaper.
Yeah.
But ERG's values caught my eye. They use a word I almost never see in a strategy document. Their values are real, decisive, caring, and scrappy.
Scrappy.
Yeah, I have to ask about that. Scrappy usually has a bit of a negative connotation, doesn't it? It sounds unpolished, maybe a little desperate.
I found that fascinating too. But in this context, scrappy isn't about cutting corners on safety. It's about being resourceful. It's the antidote to bureaucracy.
How so? Give me an example.
Well, imagine a local manager gets a crisis call, a retaining wall collapse. They need a specific lift now.
Okay.
A corporate manager follows a procedure. If the procedure says wait for regional approval, they wait. They hide behind the policy.
And the customer suffers.
Right. A scrappy manager finds a way. They call another branch. They get a flatbed. Maybe they drive the truck themselves. It implies a bias toward action.
The beg for forgiveness, not ask for permission, mindset.
So precisely. And for a customer whose project is stalled, that is the difference between profit and loss.
Do we have any evidence this is actually happening, or is it just a cool word for the website?
No, the source stack includes testimonials that back this up. There's a story about a client who needed a 12,000-pound forklift.
That is a monster of a machine.
Huge. And they needed it in a pinch. The review mentions an employee, a Mr. Morgan, who went above and beyond to make it happen. There's another review about a guy named Adam. The client's needs kept changing, which happens on job sites. And instead of getting annoyed, Adam just adapted.
My favorite one was the guy who needed a jackhammer to bust up some concrete steps.
A miserable job.
Miserable. He got a Makita tool, it worked perfectly, and the review was just pure relief. It sounds small, but that's the no excuses motto in action.
Notice the reviews name people. Adam. Mr. Morgan.
That's a great point.
When customers know the staff by name, that's the mom and pop feel. You don't memorize the name of the call center agent at a massive corporation.
It proves the culture is tangible. So we have the model networked inventory, we have the engine scrappy culture. Now I want to get into the actual toys.
The heavy iron.
Because the press release from today is specifically highlighting their inventory of boom lifts. And I have to admit, before this, if you said boom lift, I just pictured a bucket on a stick.
It's a lot more scientific than that.
It seems like it.
A boom lift is a hydraulic arm for working at height, construction, painting. But ERG emphasizes a specific question for choosing one. What is in your way?
What is in your way? Okay, break that down.
Well, is there a clear path to the building? Or is there a retaining wall, a pile of steel beams, something else in front of it? That determines whether you need an articulating boom or a telescopic boom.
Okay, let's do articulating first. The sources call this the up and over lift.
Right. Think of it like your own arm. It has an elbow and a wrist. It has knuckles.
So it can bend.
Exactly. If you have an obstacle, an articulating boom can reach up, bend over it, and get you to the work area. It's the yoga lift. Great for tight spaces.
And the telescopic.
That's the stick boom. Think of a telescope. It extends in a straight line. It doesn't bend.
So less finesse.
Less finesse, but maximum vertical reach and horizontal distance. If you need to reach the top of a 5-story warehouse from the parking lot, that's your tool.
So articulating is for finesse, telescopic is for reach.
Got it.
But the thing that really jumped out at me was the locomotion.
The cool factor.
Yes, I knew they had tires. I figured some had tracks, like a tank. But the press release mentions a third option that sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie. Crawler legs.
Crawler leg.
The description literally says, for striding through dense, immobilizing marsh and muck.
It's a pretty vivid image, isn't it?
I'm picturing a giant mechanical spider walking through a swamp.
You're not far off.
But here's the business insight. Why stock something that weird? I mean, how often does someone really need spider legs? Doesn't that inventory just sit there collecting dust?
That is a brilliant question. Most rental companies only stock the stuff that rents 90% of the time. Standard tires, it's safe money.
Right, the vanilla ice cream of construction.
Exactly. But by stocking crawler legs, ERG is signaling something different. They're saying, we know sometimes the job site is a disaster zone.
When it rains for 3 weeks and the ground turns to soup?
And if you're a contractor stuck in 3 feet of mud, a standard lift is useless. You are dead in the water.
So having the crawler legs means they can save the day when the other guys can't.
Exactly. It moves them from being a vendor to a partner. It proves they'll hold niche inventory to protect their customers from the worst-case scenario.
I just love the idea of striding through muck. It feels very heroic.
It's solving the problem nobody else wants to touch.
So let's zoom back to where this is all happening. The press release is centered on Decatur, Alabama, 649 Finley Island Road.
A strategic spot, serving both Decatur and the Huntsville market.
But they didn't just build a shed there. Their growth strategy, and this is key to that local feel, is about acquisition.
Right. They don't just plant flags, they buy history.
In Decatur, they acquired a company called River City Equipment Rental and Sales.
And this wasn't just some random asset sale. River City was founded by a guy named Bill Waddell back in 2007. This was a family business. For nearly 15 years, Bill was the guy you called.
That's a lot of local trust built up.
Huge amounts. Now, usually when a big company buys a small one, they wipe the slate clean, fire the old staff, change the signs, install their own people.
The soulless corporate takeover. We've all seen it. The quality drops, prices go up.
And the people who knew your name are gone. But ERG seems to take a different approach. They acquire the business, but they keep the local DNA. They keep the people.
So if you're a longtime customer of River City, you walk in and still see the faces you know.
You still feel that connection to Bill's legacy.
But now, those same faces can get you a crawler leg boom lift from Georgia.
Bingo, that's the magic trick. You keep the relationship, but you upgrade the capacity. It explains how they can scale so fast without losing their soul.
And in Decatur and Huntsville, they're targeting steel erection, facility maintenance. These are relationship-heavy industries.
You don't hand $1 million project to a stranger. You want the history, but you need the modern capability.
Okay, before we wrap, I want to hit on a couple of very practical takeaways. One thing that kept popping up in the research was billing.
The bane of every contractor's existence.
Why is that so hard? I rent it for 3 days, you bill me for 3 days, what's the problem?
You'd think it's simple. But with the massive chains, the billing systems are often automated and disconnected from the yard. You might return a machine on Tuesday?
But the system doesn't log it until Friday.
And guess who pays for those 3 mystery days?
Yeah.
You do.
Oh.
And then you spend hours on the phone fighting for a refund. ERG actually lists accurate billing as a primary differentiator.
It's kind of sad that accurate billing is a competitive advantage, isn't it?
It feels like the bare minimum. We promise not to overcharge you.
Right.
But in a low-trust industry, doing the basics correctly is a superpower. If you can trust the invoice, you can trust the company.
There's one last piece of the puzzle I thought was smart. They don't just rent gear. They sell it.
The used market, it's all part of the capital recovery cycle.
How does that work? Why would they sell their own assets?
Well, equipment gets old. A rental fleet needs to be young and reliable. If a machine gets too old, it breaks down more, which hurts that no excuses promise.
So they have to cycle it out.
Right. So instead of letting it rot, ERG sells it while it still has value. Smaller contractors, farmers, they get a well-maintained machine at a discount.
And ERG gets cash.
And they take that cash and reinvest it into the brand new high-tech gear like those new boom lifts we talked about.
So it's a cycle. The sales fund, the new rentals.
And it keeps the rental fleet young, which reduces breakdowns, which keeps customers happy. It's a virtuous cycle.
So let's bring this all back to where we started, the rental paradox.
The idea that you have to choose between the nice guy with no gear or the corporate jerk with all the gear.
And ERG is basically running a live experiment to prove that paradox is false. It's a formula.
It is.
You take local roots, like the River City team,
Yeah.
you add network scale, and you bind it together with a scrappy culture.
And if you get that mix right, you get no excuses. You get the best of both worlds.
So if you're listening to this and you happen to be in the Southeast, especially around Decatur or Huntsville, you might want to test that promise yourself.
You can actually call them. The local number for Decatur is 256-3 301-0575, or the main line for the whole network is 888-441-4374.
And the website is rentergy.com. That's renterg.com. Honestly, go just to look at the crawler legs. It's cool to know you could cross a swamp if you had to.
It is pretty impressive engineering.
I want to leave you with a final thought today. We talked about this idea of the trade-off. Quality versus scale. Speed versus care.
It's something we just accept in almost every part of our lives. We assume if a company gets big, it must become impersonal.
Or if it's small, it must be limited.
But ERG is proving that with the right architecture and the right mindset, you can actually hack that trade-off.
So the question for you is, in your own industry or even your own job, where are you accepting a trade-off that doesn't actually need to exist? Are you just assuming you can't have speed and quality because that's how it's always been done?
If a rental company can solve it with a network and some crawler legs,
Maybe that trade-off is just a lack of innovation waiting for you to fix it.
that's worth thinking about.
Thanks for diving in with us. We'll see you on the next one.